Hi, and welcome to lesson 8 of the 28-day Embodied Confidence Bootcamp. And the purpose of this lesson is to give you all the instructions and information you need so that you can create your own roadmap to continue practicing confidence and courage. So going back to the beginning for a moment, referring to our original definition of embodied confidence, remembering that something is embodied when it happens automatically, even under stress and pressure. And so we talked about that example of driving the car, how at first it was effortful. You had to set aside time to practice, to pay attention. And over time, with repetition, it became easier, something you no longer have to think about. You can just get into the car and drive away without too much effort. Confidence is that belief in self that translates into an ability to act in alignment with what you care about. And so we've broken that up into pieces. We've done some exercises and some practices to help you start to uncover what you care about and start to act courageously. We've designed a courageous habit that's in alignment with what you care about. So this is what we're still working towards, this ability to believe in ourselves so that we can act in alignment with what we care about. And so that over time, with practice and repetition, this becomes embodied. These embodied confidence practices can be divided into 4 major buckets. These are 4 elements that we all need in order to cultivate confidence and courage. Centered calm is the first one. How doing this work goes against everything that is already currently wired into our brain. Everything we've learned about what is emotionally safe and what will help us belong in this world. And in that process of change, there is instability, there is stress. And so we need practices to help us cultivate grounded, centered calm. We need practices to help us get clear on who we are and what we care about. So confidence is that belief in self that translates into an ability to act in alignment with what we care about. So there are practices to help us get clear on what we care about. We've done some of these, and I'll highlight them in a moment. Compassion. So these are the 3 steps involved in recognizing what is getting in the way and having compassion for that. So these are the steps involved in noticing our doubt pattern, and we've done a lot of work around that, normalizing that doubt pattern, not shaming and blaming ourselves, and nurturing ourselves, finding compassion for ourselves when our doubt comes up, and it will continue to come up for you. But now you have the tools to notice it, normalize it, and nurture yourself. And finally, courage. We need practices to step into greater courage, to take everything we've learned about what we care about, everything we learned about what's getting in the way, to take that foundation of grounding and calm and take action in our real lives. This is the courage piece. In terms of the practices we have explored, they all broadly fall into one of these buckets. Some of them cover off more than one, so they fall into more than one bucket. What I want you to know is that the practices I have showed you are merely fingers pointing at the sun. Your continued road to confidence and courage is as unique as you are. You will likely need to design your own practices. Start with the ones I have given you, but feel free to tweak them, adjust them, add in something else. Think along the lines of the 4 buckets and choose practices, design practices that work for you. What I want you to do underneath all of this is have a commitment to a more confident and courageous you. We don't know exactly precisely the road that will get you there. We know part of the steps to take. This workshop, this boot camp is designed to get you part way there. I need you to commit to doing the rest. I need you to truly commit to a more confident and courageous vision of yourself. The word commitment can be broken down into its Latin roots. Cum, which is with, together, and mitter, which comes from the same root word of mission. This is not about having a wish. This is not even about an intention anymore. This is a vow and a promise, a commitment and a dedication that you make to yourself. I love the word sankalpa from the yoga tradition, which really highlights what we're aiming here. In sankalpa, it can also be broken up into 2 words. San, your highest truth, and kalpa, your vow. You are making a commitment to your highest truth. You are making a commitment to your true self, the self that lies underneath everything, your childhood, your culture, our conditioning has led us away from. You are making a commitment to your true self. This is your highest truth. A sankalpa is not about your ego. It's not about your conditioning. It's about what lies underneath. It's the inner core of who you are. So right now, I want you to commit to the inner core, the inner truth of who you are. Commit to that. Make it a vow, not a wish or an intention. Make it a strong vow, something you are dedicated to and determined to and will not give up on. This is the vow above all other vows, the rule above all other rules. Commitment truly does come down to identifying the practices, repeating them, adding in your emotion, the emotion of what you care about, and over time that leads to embodied confidence. Commitment is the everyday practice. You will work on a worksheet, a 3-page worksheet, to help you define and clarify your own roadmap. I'll break it down here just to provide a little bit of clarity and guidance. The first part is your commitment statement. What are you committed to? I am a commitment to, and the language is language that I borrow from the Strozzi Institute. This is the way they frame it, the same school that taught me about embodiment. I am a commitment to. This is you in progress. This is you in process. So to give you an example of some of my previous commitments, I have been a commitment to uncovering my purpose, right? That was something that I dedicated time and energy and effort to for a year. And it wasn't something where I said, it'd be nice to have a purpose. It was a commitment. Every day I thought about it. I am a commitment to uncovering my purpose. My next commitment was to risk rejection in service of my purpose. And so this was a big one for me. My doubt showed up as fear of rejection. Every time I felt the possibility of rejection, I would go into doubt and I would avoid my purpose. And so my next commitment was, I am a commitment to risking rejection in service of my purpose. If you need help with clarifying your commitment, please reach out. The next box is to identify some metrics. How will you know when you are successful? And so for me, with my second commitment, I knew I was successful when I could be with rejection, when I didn't run from it, when I didn't go into my embodied doubt habit, when I could consciously choose situations that I would be risking rejection and I would stay in those situations. That was a real outside marker for me. Another marker was to have someone tell me, you are confident. So you can identify markers for yourself. How will you know when you have reached your commitment? They can be internal feelings, they can be external things. Again, feel free to reach out. Identify your sources of inspiration. So this might be what you know about what you care about. This might be people in your life that are important to you, people who you want to have an impact on, people who would benefit from you finding greater confidence and courage. This might be a dream you have that you've been keeping yourself away from, that you know is part of all this, that you know greater confidence and courage will help you get closer to that dream. So we have our big annual commitment. We have our big commitment to ourselves. And I do truly, honestly encourage you to think of this as a year-long commitment. Think of this as your year-long confidence and courage plan. And then from there, we break things into 45 days. So for the next 45 days, which of these buckets do you want to focus on? It might be centered calm. Maybe you realize, you know what? I am too unstable. I feel too much anxiety when I try to cultivate greater courage. I need to calm myself. I need practices to calm myself. And that will be my focus for the next 45 days. Maybe it's clarity. Maybe it's, I don't know what I care enough about yet. I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what my calling is. So maybe you need to get clear on who you are and what you care about. The next one is compassion. We have taken some steps towards uncovering how our doubt shows up for us, but maybe there's more work to do there for you. Maybe there's more to explore, more for you to understand, more for you to gain awareness of. And the last one is courage. Courage really does require clarity. You have to know what you care about, but they do go hand in hand. So if you know quite vaguely that you care about children and education, then take one step in the outside world towards that. Take one step towards learning about education, to working in education, to mastering education, and then go back to clarity. What do I care about? They go hand in hand. You can learn about your being as you take steps in doing. In the box in the bottom left corner, identify specific practices that you would like to take for the next 45 days. So related to one of the buckets above, you can work on more than one bucket at once. It's hard to do all four at once. I would focus on one or two at a time, and then identify specific practices that you will do for the next 45 days to support your progress in that bucket. You can identify people who can support you on this path, someone who feels safe, that you can trust, that you can tell what you're working on. And you can also identify other steps that you will take. So there might be books you need to read. You might want to read a book on confident, courageous women. You might want to read biographies about that. If your care is related to education, for example, you might want to read a book on education. So identify other steps, other actions you will take. Again, if you need help clarifying any of this, then please reach out. The bottom line takeaways here are to think of this confident and courageous roadmap as a 1-year plan, to get really clear on the commitment you are making to yourself for that next year, to identify which of the 4 buckets you would like to focus on over the next 45 days, and then to identify the clear practices you will follow every day to rewire new neural pathways in your brain.